Hey, it's Miss Hamilton, and we're gonna talk about measurement today. We use measurement all of the time. Maybe you want to know how much water is in a water bottle, or maybe you want to know how heavy your school bag is, or maybe you want to know how wide the board is, okay? All different things we can measure. And there's different units that we use to measure. So the first thing we're gonna look at is we're gonna look at length or distance, okay? So either how far away something is or how long something is. And in the United States, we use inches, feet, yards, and miles, okay? We use inches to do little tiny things, feet to do bigger things, yards to do even bigger things, and then miles to do really big things, right? So we would have our ruler here, and it has our inches on it, and the whole thing is a foot, okay? 12 inches make up a foot. Pretty much everywhere else in the world, besides the United States, uses millimeters, centimeters, meters, and kilometers. And pretty much the base of that system is the meter. So this one here, this big long white one, this is a meter stick here, okay? It's a meter stick. It is 100 centimeters long, this white meter stick. So depending on what you're measuring is going to depend on what unit you're going to use. So if you're measuring a little tiny ant, you're gonna wanna use something little and tiny, such as the centimeters that are on one side of the ruler, the centimeters. And you'd actually probably even go really even smaller and look at the millimeters, the little itty bitty pieces in between our centimeters. So here are my centimeters. These little lines are the millimeters. I need more millimeters to measure my ant. So here's my ant. He is about 7 centimeters long, or there's 10 in each. So he is about 7 centimeters long, or we can use our ratios and say that there's 10 millimeters in each, which is the same as about 70 millimeters, okay? So we need more millimeters to measure him because the millimeters are smaller than the centimeters. Those millimeters are the little ones in there. And then when you get into a bigger object, such as this car, you might measure it in feet, okay? Or you might measure it in meters, okay? Something bigger. And then if you were to have something like the state of Delaware, we're not gonna go measuring the state of Delaware, my little feet rulers, or even my little meter rulers. We're gonna need something bigger, and we're gonna use miles or kilometers. So depending on who you talk to, if we were to look at the state of Delaware, okay, depending on who you're talking to, someone in the United States would say, okay, from tip to tip, from top to bottom, it is 96 miles long, okay? Well, if you're talking to somebody else in a different country, or maybe even around here, if you're talking about, they might want to know kilometers, okay? It's just a different unit that we use to measure. And 1 mile is equal to 1.6 kilometers. So I can tell from this that since 1 mile is bigger than 1.6, because it takes more than 1 kilometers to figure that out. But if I want to take my 96 miles and turn it into kilometers, I can use a ratio table. So I know that 1 mile is equal to 1.6 kilometers. And I want to turn my miles into kilometers. So I'm going to put my miles underneath my miles column, and I'm going to do some multiplying here. So remember, I'm going from 1 to 96, so here I am multiplying by 96. So I'll probably have to get my trusty calculator out, and oops, I put it down here. And I'm just going to multiply times 96, because remember, if I multiply this by 96, I multiply that by 96, so 1.6 times 96, 153.6 kilometers. So we can say the distance from the top to the bottom is 96 miles long, or we can say that it is 153.6 kilometers. I can use this information to figure out which is which unit is smaller by thinking, okay, we need more of these kilometer pieces. So if I'm using a kilometer piece, if I'm measuring kilometers, I need more of them to go the same distance, so that means it's smaller. It's like if I were to measure my board, I would need 1, 2, 3, 4, about 4.5 of my feet. Or if I use my yardstick, I'm gonna need, like about just over 1, okay? A little bit more than 1. So I need more of these, so this is less, or this is a smaller piece, okay? So then I can look at, if I remember my book, this was how we started off. We saw that we needed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6.5 small paper clips, or 4.5 big paper clips. So I need 6.5 small or 4.5 large. So with my information, I can know that since I need more of them, they're the smaller piece, okay? So just again, remember you need more of the smaller pieces for the same size. Weight is something else that we measure differently. In the United States, we tend to use pounds and ounces. In science and a lot of the rest of the world, you use grams and kilograms, and your kilogram and your pound are going to be the ones that you're going to probably see the most, or you're going to compare. So let's say if we have a baby and the baby is 8 pounds, our baby is 8 pounds. What if we want to know how many kilograms it is? Well, 1 pound is equal to 45 hundredths of a kilogram, or so about half of a kilogram. So I can use a table. And if I want to figure out how much this baby weighs in pounds, I'm going to use my table. So I have 1 pound is 45 hundredths kilograms. I'm trying to figure out what 8 pounds is, so I'm going to go ahead and do some multiplying. And I do 1 times 8 to get to 8. I have to do the same thing over here. I'm going to times by 8. So it would be 0.45 times 8. And what do I get? I get 3.6. So somebody weighing this baby might say the baby's 8 pounds. Somebody else weighing the baby might say they're 3.6 kilograms. They're both right, okay? Just 2 different ways or 2 different measurements or units to use to measure the baby, okay? And the pound is going to be smaller, okay? So we are gonna need more of them, okay? My pound is smaller, so I have more pounds to be the same weight as my kilograms. And one last place you might see measurement is with volumes. You can go to the grocery store, you buy a gallon of milk, or you could buy a quart of milk. Sometimes milk comes in liters and milliliters. 4 quarts is equal to a gallon. Just different ways to measure my volume or amount of liquid that's in the container. So 1 gallon is equal to 3.7854 liters, okay? So imagine we have this pool. Oops, let me get rid of that. We have our pool, and our pool is 200 gallons. It's a nice, pretty blue pool. Over here, I have a fish pool, and this one is 750 liters. Maybe I want to know which one's bigger. So I need to either put them into gallons or to liters to figure out which one is bigger. So this is another time you might want to convert something. So we know my ratio up here is 1 gallon. Oops. How do I say that? 1 gallon is equal to 3.7854 liters. This is the ratio I am going to use to solve my problem, and I made us a chart here, okay? And my ratio table, 1 gallon is equal to that many liters. So if 1 gallon is that many, I'm going to multiply it by 200. And I don't know why this is acting up all of a sudden. We're going to times it by 200. So I'm going to do 3.7854 multiplying by 200. And let's go. 3.7854 times 200 equals 7. Let me make this push it a little bit higher. Multiplying both by 200. So when I multiply them by 200, I get 757.08. So what does that mean? That means this pool here is 757.08, and that one's 750. So this one is bigger. Now, I'm sorry there about the board. I'm not sure why it's acting up all of a sudden. I have no idea. Anyways, so you're going to multiply and turn this one into liters. If we turn them into the same amount of liters, we can compare them. Okay. And remembering again, we're going to need more of the smaller units, so my liters are smaller, so it'll take more liters to fill up the pool than it will take gallons. So anyways, that's how we can use measurement in our real world life.